How's it going? Thank you so much for tuning in. We are currently sitting in Siem Reap, Cambodia, where it's raining outside right now. And we had a chance to knock out this podcast, and that's what you're going to hear today. I am Matt Javit, and with Nikki Javit, we are a traveling couple that has been on the road now for over 21 months. And we attempt to document our journey on this podcast and our website, passportjoy.com. We are not expert travelers, but we're doing our best to just give the tips and tools and secrets and stuff that we've learned along the way to help you travel better. Today, we are talking about Bali, Indonesia. We spent 4 weeks there, and we're going to get into all the details on why we loved it so much and the tips and advice of the places that we visited along the way. Be sure to check out the show notes under the podcast tab at passportjoy.com for all the things that we list in this episode. Just like all the episodes, I put together a big list of notes there that makes it easy for you to click and find the things that we mentioned. If you're just getting caught up with us and you're saying, hey, where have these guys gone so far? Go to the Journey So Far tab on the website, and you'll understand all the places that we've been, all the countries we've traveled to over these 21 months. And I go month by month, country by country of all the places. And we also include links there to describe all the places that we've enjoyed. And it makes it easy for you to click and find those as well. If you're not familiar, we also produced World Barbershop Adventures, which is a YouTube series that gets into the haircuts, beard shaves, facial treatments, all the crazy stuff I'm getting in barber chairs around the world. And that's a visual component of our travel journey where we not only talk about the time in the barber chair, but there's also the cultural aspects. We can show some of the things that are in those cities with some commentary as well. So that's pretty cool. If you shop on Amazon, check out passportjoy.com/Amazon. And this is a great way to see all the things that we love, some of the things that we miss from our time at home, some of our travel clothes, electronics, like the adapters that we use as we travel, our backpack, our favorite locks, things like that. And also all the books that we love to read while we travel are listed there as well. So again, passportjoy.com/Amazon. You can just go there, look at all the things that we mentioned. And then if not, then you just continue on to your Amazon shopping and buy the things you want to buy. As normal, if you can subscribe, rate, and review, that really helps us along this journey to get in front of new travelers that might not be aware of our story and gives us a way to, gain our audience and then help other people do anything they're trying to do with their travel plans. In case you break away before the end, please remember to sign up for the newsletter at passportjoy.com. We send out weekly highlights on Thursdays of everything that's we've been going through the week before, things that are coming up for us, and also, I guess, tips and tricks that we learn about traveling along the way that we can share. All right, let's get into this episode. Bali. We spent 4 weeks there and really enjoyed it, and we're going to review it for you today. We're going to talk a high level of why we love Bali so much. Then we'll jump into a few things that we did in Seminyak. That was the part of town that we spent the most time in. Highlights of our time in Ubud. And then we took a day trip to Nusa Penida, which is an island, and we'll cover that as well and then wrap up with some final thoughts. So just to kick it off, man, Bali's a place that obviously you hear a lot about it in movies and just conversations with travelers. And it's one of those places we really look forward to. It's an island in Indonesia, and it's a slice of heaven. We really enjoyed our time. I think a lot of it had to do with our loft. We did a lot of research to make sure that we got the right type of loft, because when you're spending 4 weeks in one location, you want to make it perfect. So our loft was amazing. We were a 5-minute walk from the beach, one of the best beaches called Double Six. And it ended up being $38 a day all in, which also included a scooter, free filtered water, huge bed, air conditioned, which is key there, great Wi-Fi, Netflix streamed through the television, a secured gate entrance where we could put our scooter in. And we even had like this mini backyard. We had a full, huge refrigerator, a kitchenette type situation where you could cook on the stove if you wanted to, and then also like wash wash dishes and whatnot. And then we also had a safe in the room, which is great, in a nice bathroom. So all those things added up. Once you have your comfort and order, and for us to get into a flow, because not that we tend to attempt to be slow travelers in the way that we travel and not like see a new city or every day. We tend to try to spend 4 to 8 days typically. And so for us to get 4 weeks in one location is great because we get a flow. And in this situation, we had a chance to find a place to work out. We understood a few restaurants that we enjoyed, and it just helped us get a good flow and just made it a fun process. But yeah, the loft, and we'll have a link in the show notes for it's called the Blue Loft in Bali, in Seminyak. We really enjoyed staying there. And then I guess another major thing that made it really nice for the time we were there is the people. The people were so nice, and there's definitely a Hindu lifestyle because you'll see the offerings all around town with the palm leaves and with candy and all kinds of things that they put into the small offerings. But just their way of life and how kind and welcoming they are to the tourists. I think they understand that tourism is essential to their lives. So they're very welcoming and kind to all the travelers that are there, because you do see a lot of travelers there, and actually expats that have moved there that have taken in that way of life as well. But all the people are a lot of smiles, a lot of gratitude. Yeah, they will ask you if you want a scooter ride or a tuk-tuk ride often, but it's just part of what they need to do to survive. You know what I mean? And they'll ask you to buy t-shirts. So it is it's not pushy, but there is an asking type of relationship that's there towards the travelers where they want your money. They want you to spend with them. And it's just part of it. So as long as you're comfortable with that and you don't get annoyed with it, and you just understand, hey, they're just doing their job. They're really great people, and all the restaurants we went to and everything, that everybody was really super kind. The beach life is amazing. The beach is super long. There's a lot of different options to go to different beaches along the coast. Obviously, it's an island, so it's everywhere you go. There's beaches in a close enough distance to get to. And like I said, we were at double 6 beaches. And the water was really warm. The waves were strong. People were surfing, but it was nice. You could lay out for free, just find a plot of land, or you could rent these unbelievably comfortable double beds that had huge, super thick, almost like mattresses for, was it $7 US a day for 2. So that's real cheap, and they'll bring you beer and stuff if you wanted that as well. The food options on the island were amazing. Probably next to Poland, because we talked about how many vegan, vegetarian options there were in Poland. Bali is probably what ways is up there, if not the top, because it's really all about health and kind of detoxing and all those things you think about when you think about Bali. A lot of yoga, a lot of things going on there that are focused around your health. So there's a lot of vegan options that Nikki really enjoyed. And then the local food has a lot of Indian influences with curry, chicken, spices, and it's delicious food. So that was nice. And then shopping at the grocery was really easy. So for us to go out and get food at the grocery and bring it back to our place and not have to worry about going out, that was easy. And you basically buy anything you might need in Bali. You could probably show up with the clothes on your back, a credit card, and you'd be fine, because everything there, I mean, you could live there easily. So, and if you're looking for cheap t-shirts, it's not as cheap as like Thailand or Vietnam, but they do have cheap options there to pick up souvenirs and clothes and whatnot. And then we mentioned expats living there. We had a chance to meet a bunch of them through church and then just through other avenues. A ton of Aussies. This tends to be a place where a lot of Australians go to vacation and hang and live. But we also met Europeans and Americans as well that now call Indonesia home, and they love it. And we've talked to a few that had found creative ways to work around the 30-day visa while doing work there to support the local businesses, and they've called that home now. So that was pretty cool. And then night options, a ton of night options to hang out with. The coolest club, I forget it, is La Favela. La Favela. It was a Brazilian restaurant-y pub. So they've got the big Christ the Redeemer statue inside it, but they had all kinds of it's a club, it could be a pub in certain areas, it's a restaurant. It is 3 floors. Top floor had like house music. The other parts when we were there had like disco-y, hip hop mixed, just nice, with like 4 different dance floors. and the servers were really on it, and a lot of people were there dancing the night away from all parts of the world. There was many locals, but there was also everybody else from around the world, because it seems to be the hottest club in Seminyak. I'd be surprised. As far as like decor, I'm sure there's bigger house music-y type nightclubs, but as far as bringing all the people together from different age ranges, that seemed to be the spot. Going on, Bali, my Bali barber visit was epic. They really took care of us. The owner was all over it, Desmond, and the barber was amazing. So I look forward to dropping that episode and showing all the highlights of that, because it was a long service, but it's one of those where, like I said before, Bali is all about the body, the mind, the spirit, everything, and they take, when it comes to pampering, they know how to do it. So it's one of those things where they not only you get the haircut, the shave, but they do the nails there, they do massages, they do everything. And I chose a few of those options to highlight. And then Nikki got her haircut as well at the shampoo lounge, which she really enjoyed.
Yeah, the shampoo lounge was really nice experience. It's similar to in the United States for women. So it wasn't anything like above and beyond like what I had experienced before, but you can definitely get some unique treatments there. They had some unique hair treatments, I should say, that I haven't seen in the United States, like hair masks and such for like damaged hair. But they had facials, manicures, pedicures. And then the one thing that they do that I have not seen in the United States is like while you're getting your hair done, they do massages and things like that. Or while you're waiting in between treatments, they'll give you a massage, like a shoulder massage or an arm massage. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I really enjoyed the services there.
And then it is a very much a scooter lifestyle in Bali. There are cars. There are a lot of people took cars, and to be honest with you, cars really made it difficult in the streets. I think if it was only scooters, it would be amazing. But with the cars, it makes the traffic a little bit more chaotic. But I understand, because it rains and people have babies, and there's families that don't want to go on scooters, and obviously not everybody's comfortable on a scooter. So, but it is. We've talked to people, and they said 4 or 5 years ago the traffic wasn't much at all, and it was pretty easy to navigate the city, but it can get pretty hectic at times, and getting on the scooter can be extremely intimidating as well. And we saw travelers with gashes on their arms. We had a chance to talk to them about their falls, and it can get pretty gnarly from some of the falls. And like one guy hit a dog, so him and his girlfriend both had gashes on their arms. So you just gotta be really smart. Just don't be in a hurry, because just understand the traffic's going to be there, and just getting there safely is the way. And we saw some situations too where it was pouring rain and people have to throw on their ponchos and do creative things to stay warm or stay dry in the process. Like I said, stray dogs. Oh, and also with the scooters, you'll see that it's cool too, because there's always a ride. So if you're not one that wants to drive a scooter, you can always find one of these local guys that'll throw you on the back of the scooter, and you can get that ride any time of the day, anywhere you are. They're everywhere, as are taxis. But you'll also see kids. We saw a lot of probably 9 to 12-year-olds on scooters there, that after school, navigating the town with their buddies in the back. And it wasn't like it was a joyride situation. It was like, hey, we're handling business here. Let's go handle our day. And then stray dogs, there are stray dogs. It wasn't as crazy as South America, but there were enough stray dogs there that you could see it, and you got to pay attention to it. But they all seem very happy. They're enjoying the island life as well. And also all roosters, cats, stray cats. It's really about it. Little mini alligators. Nikki had an eye for these mini alligators that we saw, from anywhere from like 2.5 feet down to 10 inches. So those were pretty cool to spot. And then obviously, what are those little guys? Not geckos. Are geckos? Yeah, gecko, little lizard thingies run around everywhere. Another huge highlight was an earthquake. That was the first time I ever felt an earthquake. It was 5.3 on the scale. It was about 1:30 at night. I was just typing away, doing some stuff on the computer. Nikki had already gone to sleep, and I had never felt the earth move like that. And it was crazy. I hopped out of my chair. I yelled up to Nikki, because we had the loft situation where she was sleeping, and she was dead asleep. And she was like, what? And it wasn't any big deal to her, because she had been to California and she had felt that before. But for me, it was a really big deal. And that night too, we had crazy thunderstorms where that was probably the loudest thunder I'd ever heard in my life. It was like through the ceiling. It was nuts. So that was pretty crazy to live with. And then obviously there, because the tsunami scares and everything, they're always the people, you talk to people and they're aware. They're aware of the earthquakes, they're aware of the tsunamis, but obviously they continue to go on with their day and do what they got to do. But it's something in front of mind for them. I guess a negative would be the garbage. There is a ton of garbage on the streets. They got to find a way to figure that out because it's just everywhere, and it really takes away from the beauty of the island. And I think it's just there's too many people there. And I wouldn't even say it's the tourists doing those things, because usually tourists go out of the way to make sure their trash goes in the garbage. But it's mostly probably locals and just maybe not overpopulation, but just overactivity. It's the island's always buzzing, and there's a lot of garbage everywhere. And another negative was the ATMs machines. So just be aware that you can't pull out a lot of money per visit. So if you pull out money, the top you can get probably, I think, is like $60 or something. Yeah, there's a lot of skimming. If you're familiar with skimming, we've talked about it before on the podcast, where people take your information as you put your ATM card in there. There's a lot of that we saw reported. So I end up freezing my credit card. I guess one quick tip, how I handled that was, we've talked about it before, the Schwab International card is amazing. It allows you to pull out ATM anywhere in the world, and they give you back your ATM fees that you might get at the end of the month. So there's been months where we've gotten back like $54, $35, $40 each month, end of the month, 30th day of the month, bang, money's in the account. Schwab ATM, and it's all online. You can just put in 500. I would suggest putting like 500, 1,000 bucks in there for your travel account. Make it your travel account. No, 500 to 1,000. Nikki said 500,000. No, so 500. Just put in 500 bucks, make your travel account, but then you get your ATM card. And if you plan on going anywhere internationally, then you can use that card. But while we were there, I just called them, froze my account. And then as I would go to the ATM machine, I would call. They give you a number. You call them. They verify that you are who you are. And then they unfreeze the account so you can pull the money out at that time. And then it makes it a lot easier. It just makes you feel secure that nothing bad is going to happen as you're pulling out this money. And then nobody's going to get your information and try to take out more. Because as you know, with debit cards, they take your money out and it's a cluster to get that money back, because it's not like a credit card. You can just get it back easier. So that's a little tip. And then again, the people, everyone's just in great spirits. And I guess even the travelers, because it's a travel vacation, kind of like when you go to Vegas, people are in a good mood. That's how Bali is. Everybody's in a great mood because it's friendly, it's relaxing, it's tourism. There's $5 hour-long massages. And one bonus, our workout facility that we found, Lewis and Friends, which was about a 13-minute scooter ride for us from where we were staying, but it was worth it because it was huge. They had a huge yoga room, free weights, treadmill, pool, sauna, which I love the sauna. So I was doing that about 6 days a week. And yeah, it was fantastic to find that. And there were some cool people there. So that is it. We are going to now jump into what things we did in Seminyak that were highlights for us. Again, Seminyak was one of the towns. There's many of these towns within Bali. Seminyak is the one that we stayed in, and then we'll go through that.
All right, so I'm going to just highlight some of my favorite restaurants that we frequented while we were staying in Seminyak. There were a couple. So there are vegan restaurants and vegetarian restaurants. And our favorite, number one, was called Zula. It's Zula. And it actually served vegetarian food, but they could do veganize basically anything as long as you asked. And the cool thing about this restaurant is that they also had a vegan grocery store that was basically just some shelving that lined the walls in the restaurant, but they had pretty much everything from dried fruits to spices to super cool essential oils inside the store. So it was a really neat place. A couple other places that we really liked were called Earth Cafe. Another one was called Tasty Vegan. And the Tasty Vegan, you could sit outdoors in this little garden-like atmosphere. And it was just really, really good food for super cheap. I mean, 2 people could eat there for a couple entrees for, I'd say, probably about $8. But Matt was getting like 2 entrees and I was getting 1. So, I mean, you could definitely eat for probably about $5. And then there was another place called Earth Express. And at Earth Express, it was similar to Zula. And they also had some like store products that you could buy, but they additionally had some cold pressed juices that they made every day. And the menu there was phenomenal.
My favorite was Chai Bay, was an Indian restaurant, and it was just authentic Indian food. We had a chance to meet with the manager a couple of times, and he's from India, and he wanted to set up an awesome, not, I wouldn't say high end, but a little bit pricier than what Nikki just described type of restaurant. And wow, it was amazing. One of their chefs was from, I think I talked to him, he was from Kerala, but their staff was so hands-on and really, really nice. But the food was out of this world good and spicy and everything you'd expect in good Indian food with butter naan. And so we really enjoyed that. And that was one of our highlights for sure. And then as far as like a local spot that I really enjoyed, there was a Warung. So their restaurants are called Warung, Warung, Warung. And one of the ones that we frequented was called Warung Bunana, Bunana, and it was just pure local Indonesian cuisine and tasty. They had these curries. I'd get these chicken curries, and it was just spicy and tasty. But they with their different types of, was it roti? Was it a type of roti? Yeah, it was like their version of a roti, but then they would mix in like anything you want. One time I had sardines. Other time I got cheese in it. There would be like onions, but they had all these different types of rotis with and then you just grab the roti, dip it into the curry, and it was delicious. So from the local authentic point of view, that was my favorite place.
Yeah, so those are just some suggestions if you ever want to try those types of foods. Another cool place that we went to, it was actually called the Flea Market, and it wasn't really like any other flea market we'd ever been to. It was not crowded at all. It was super clean. And the items that were being sold in the flea market themselves were very, very high quality, I would say. And they're definitely willing to negotiate. And I don't remember what day of the week we went, but I believe it was like on a Saturday or something. And when we got there, we were so surprised at the fact like how quiet it was. And no one was trying to ask us like to buy anything or to even to go into their stall. Each stall had a name and a number associated with it. So it was almost as if they had their own sort of like little boutique that they were working for. I mean, their products were very, very, very high quality. So I suggest going there just to check it out. Another cool place, the world famous Potato Head nightclub. I know it's located in a couple cities around the world, but they have the entrance to this nightclub is they collect these shutters, shutters that you would put on windows, and they're supposed to be super colorful. So if you like look the picture up on Google, it looks like it's bright, but I was there and I saw it with my own eyes. It's pretty dull. And I know it's just from like the sun and the weather, beating on it, but it is a cool sight to see. It's very, very grandiose, so to speak. But once you go inside the club, the view that you see overlooking the sea is just phenomenal. And a lot of people go there. You can rent day beds during the day. And I actually inquired with the manager of the club because I was thinking, just for Matt and I, how much would it cost to get a day bed? And they told me that a day bed could fit 4 to 6 people. After looking at it, 4 to 6 people that are like 3 feet tall, maybe. Or if you just want to kind of like sit there and be crowded, but to comfortably lay down, 2 people would fit on a day bed. Otherwise, you're kind of just like crowding on it. But a day bed was, I think, what did we end up saying it was? It was like it was 1 million rupiah for a day bed. So we didn't end up getting it, but that wasn't the cost of the bed. It was like, it's like $70 for all day, but that includes food, drink, or anything. So it's just like a minimum. It's just to rent basically your space for the day, but that includes food and everything. So very, very good. It's what's called a minimum spend. So it's very, very good price. But for Matt and I, it's like, I'm not really going to drink and eat that much food all day long. So it wasn't worth it for us. So instead, what we did is we went for the sunset view, and we were able to get a really nice seat by the bar, and it was awesome. We just, each ordered a drink and watched the sunset that way, and it was just a really cool experience. So I highly suggest doing that. Another cool restaurant for dinner, and it's a little bit of, I would say, it's a place that you need to go to in a more dressed up, fancier way. The other places that I'd previously mentioned, we would go there all the time, just like in our workout clothes. No one cares what you look like. They're super chill, laid back. It was called Batik Restaurant, Batik. And their whole concept is like a living art restaurant. So they have plants that are lining the wall. They have a lot of artwork, etc. But it's cheap eats. I mean, very fairly priced, I would say. But their menu is influenced based on Thai and Vietnamese influence. So their chefs are trained that way. And it's really, really, really good food. I highly suggest that. Matt had already mentioned the La Favela, but that was definitely one of my favorite places that we went to. It's a great place to go and take some pictures, but definitely when you go there, make sure you dress nice. I saw a lot of people there, like guys that looked like they had just walked off the beach in like flip-flops and board shorts and t-shirts. And I just thought they looked super out of place, because a lot of girls and guys that were going there, they looked dressed up, ready for like a night out. And those people that looked like that, like really, really just stuck out to me. But the place itself is awesome. Like if you want to think like vintage art, leather couches all over the place, just like things that I would say if you were to go to like an antique store and then they strategically place this artwork all over their compound, and each room to me seemed to have like a different theme. So it was really, really cool. But yeah, that's it. Those are pretty much my highlights for the Seminyak. I guess the other thing that we did that was a lot of fun was we did a day trip. We did a couple. The first one that we did was we went to Ubud and we did a whitewater rafting excursion. And that was my first time doing a whitewater rafting experience. And I was super, I guess, I don't know the word I want to use, but I guess scared to do it. I thought it was going to be this really intense thing. And it ended up not being that. Our guide was really awesome. And he basically would tell us when to row. There was 4 of us in the boat, and he was, 4 of us in the boat and then him. So there was 5 total, but he would tell us when to row, when to stop rowing, and tell us when we needed to sit down in the boat or when it was going to be dangerous. So it was really nice. I mean, it was kind of difficult in my opinion to take pictures and videos. And I wish I could have really done more of that. And they did have like professionals that were strategically placed throughout that were taking pictures for us. And in the end, you could purchase those, but I don't know, they didn't really look that great. So we didn't purchase any of them, but it was really fun. You could get out and then stand in this waterfall that was along the way, but highly, highly recommend it. And it really wasn't even that big of a workout because we had done several kayaking excursions all throughout the world. And I thought to myself, oh my God, my arms are going to be like dying today. But it wasn't even like that. It was super, super easy. So we did that when we were in Ubud. And then there's a couple other places. So I tried to like come up with this itinerary. So we did that one day. Then we spent a night in a really nice Airbnb. And then we got up the next morning and we hired a driver to drive us all around just so we could like hit all the nice places. And we went to the Ubud monkey forest. And this place, like in hindsight, I read a lot of reviews about it, and people were saying like, make sure you don't bring food, don't hold anything in your hand that the monkeys can snatch, don't put your sunglasses like on your head. And before we even entered the forest, they had this kind of like rule sheet for you to read that said all of that aforementioned stuff that I just said. But the rule that really struck me as just absolutely hilarious was it's like, do not stare the monkeys in the eyes. It was like, do not directly look at them. And so Matt and I were just like, what is this? Like, they're just cute little baby monkeys or like little tiny monkeys. Because after our experience in South Africa, we had dealt with these huge, large, like just, what were the monkeys in South Africa? Baboons. And like with 2-inch long razor sharp teeth. So I was thinking, oh, these cute little monkeys aren't going to do anything to us or whatever, right? So I was like, all right, I just won't stare at any of these monkeys in the eye. But it's just crazy, like what people inside this forest will do. Like people are up in monkeys' faces, like the female monkeys that have babies and they're carrying the babies on their back or on their stomach and they're trying to get like the perfect Instagram picture. And the monkeys are like hissing at them and showing their little baby monkey teeth. And, it's clear that these monkeys do not want us all up in their space, but people just want that perfect picture. And Matt and I would just stare back and, people with children and they want their children to like pet the monkey. And on site, they actually have a monkey, like a hospital where you, like for people who get bites and monkey bites and scratches and stuff. So I just find it so funny. But there's this one guy who let a monkey jump on top of him and the monkey was sitting on his shoulder. And as the monkey was sitting on his shoulder, the monkey was like picking through his hair and looking for like ticks and lice and whatever, as if the guy was a monkey. And the guy was just, taking pictures of himself and selfies and stuff. And we saw people bringing in bags of bananas, like to feed the monkeys. And it's just so funny, like that people can't follow rules to not feed monkeys and to encroach upon their spaces. So it was cool to see the monkeys in their natural, or I shouldn't say natural, because it's definitely not their natural habitat, but a lot of these monkeys are brought here because there's something wrong with them and they're rehabilitated or they can't be put back in their natural environment. So it's a great space for them so they can actually live in the forest. But it's a good place to get a quick snap of a picture, but definitely keep your space and follow the rules, I should say.
Yeah, and if you love monkeys, this is the place to check out. They're a lot of fun. They're so unique in the fact that they move around a lot like we do. But if you want to remain in love with monkeys, do not go down YouTube rabbit holes like I have and look up like monkey attacks and stuff, because it will freak you out. Because once I went down that path, this all started with the baboons in South Africa. I started to look into what monkeys have done over time, and it's pretty crazy. So I think that flaws my how I interact with them, because I'm very cautious around the monkeys now because I just know what they're capable of, and obviously they're probably full of disease. But it is a lot of fun. We're not trying to say that you shouldn't do this. It's a lot of fun. You can get great photos. The monkeys they're comfortable in this environment, but you just never know. They're animals. And the one thing I did saw that really freaked me out was there was about 3 of them that had gotten a hold of Skittles somehow, because I could see. I'm assuming they were Skittles because they were blue. The ones that I saw, they had blue candies in their mouth, and they were really excited. And the way that the sugar changed how they behaved so quickly, they were trying to steal the Skittles out of each other's mouths. And then once they got all their sugar high in them, they started going up to this man that was walking near him and pulling on his leg like they wanted more Skittles. It was pretty crazy to see how quickly the sugar changed the way that these monkeys acted. And that's what's weird, is because if everybody followed the rules, you wouldn't have a monkey getting a hold of sugar like that. I mean, we've seen it elsewhere. When we were in Thailand, we saw the monkeys drinking Coca-Cola, and then they would act all freaked out. So it's pretty wild. Just be smart, but it's a lot of fun. If you can go and visit monkeys, it's a lot of fun. You just got to be really smart about how you do it.
So another place we went to after that were I'm gonna totally slaughter this word, but I think it's called the Tagalalang rice terraces, or I just called them the rice terraces. And so what these are they're just these really beautiful rice terraces that are owned by these local farmers. And they're just a beautiful place and space where you can go for free. And we only had to pay parking because we had a driver for him to park. And then some of the farmers ask for small donations to enter on their property so you can go and take pictures, but it's just at your discretion. So you can pay like $1, you can pay 50 cents, it's whatever it is. And you can walk amongst the beautiful rice terraces. And some of the farmers even have really large, if you are a fan of like Facebook or Instagram and you see these people taking pictures of themselves on these really large swings, whether it be over the ocean or in this case, it's over their rice terraces. They have these large swings where you're able to do that. We didn't take any of the swing pictures. Quite honestly, these swing contraptions, to me, I just didn't really trust them. I mean, there's I don't even know how many feet long I would say they're probably 30 feet long, the rope itself. And then they release you from this almost catapult contraption. I'm sure they're safe. And they release you from this catapult contraption. And I just didn't want to do it. But that is an option to do. And, those donations donations that you give them go back to the family's land. But it's absolutely beautiful. It's the greenest of green. It's like being in Ireland, and it's just rows and rows and rows of rice terraces. So we did that. And then after that, we went back into town, kind of where we stayed by our Airbnb, and we went to the Ubud art market. And it's open daily. You can just find like anything here. It was super crowded, but it was awesome just to see what they were selling, like handmade scarves and shirts and woven bags and baskets. And they had just pretty much anything you could possibly imagine. But we went back there just to see like how it differed from city to city, because we're just a big, huge fan of markets itself. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. We're trying to check out some of the temples. And the only reason I mentioned this is because we're huge temple fans. And one of the temples I wanted to see was called the Puratama Saraswati Temple, but it's just a classical Balinese temple. And the problem is that when I looked it up, nowhere on their website did it say that I had to dress in traditional Balinese dress. So, which with that, like you can't enter as a tourist without this like Indonesian sarong on, and it can't just be like take a scarf and cover your legs. Like you have to have the top and the bottom. And so when we got there, I was outside of the temple and I asked one of the men that was approaching the temple, is that how you get to the entrance? And he looked at me and I had jeans on, a shirt, and like a long sleeve shirt on over my shirt underneath that. And he said, you can't go in the temple like that. You need to have a sarong on. And I was like, he just probably doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't even know why I said that, but I did say that. And so I walked up to the front, and clear as day, there was a picture that showed tourists cannot enter without traditional Indonesian sarong on. So that's just like an FYI, because I really wanted to do that. And I couldn't find any of that information online. And even our driver who dropped us off, like he saw exactly what I was wearing. That was on our itinerary for the day. No one told me that I needed to wear that. And so I really wish that I would have known that, because, you know, it's not like I'm going back there anytime soon. So for anyone who's listening and is thinking of doing that, just know that you have to be in that traditional wear.
Another day trip that we took was to Nusa Penida, and Nikki had done an amazing job of planning and coordinating everything that we did for that day. We got picked up from our Airbnb in Seminyak and drove across town to the harbor. And then from the harbor, you check in and do all that typical get ready for the day business. And then by 8 o'clock a.m., we were on a boat, which we covered in the Thanksgiving Day Thankfulness Edition episode, I think it was 40, that it was a crazy trip. So you want to listen to that. The boat ride was not what we'd say is one of the safest trips we ever had. It was pretty hectic, but at the same time, we got to the island safely. And then from there, we had a driver waiting for us at the port, and then that driver took us around the island to different viewpoints and different scenery throughout the day. And these islands, these Indonesian islands, just have amazing viewpoints. And depending upon how many people are there, you can get some tremendous photos, and also your day. Hopefully, you get great weather. But if you check out our Instagram feeds, you could see some of the viewpoints that we've had of these different beaches, from Angles Billabong, where I saw this traditional fisherman fishing off the coastline. That was pretty cool for me to see. That was a lot of fun. Broken Beach it's got this tunnel that goes underneath this, I guess, a land bridge. And then the beach, the water comes into this, it's almost movie-esque type beach area, which has a great view. And then you hike up over to Kelling King's viewpoint. And this is probably one of the best viewpoints that we've seen on our travel so far. It's gorgeous. It's extremely difficult to get down. We did not attempt to do that, though I did have a friend, a guy that I ended up meeting later in this day. He posted a video of it later, about a week later, and I saw him trek down. It is it's like 3 hours to get down with these very narrow man-made bridges. But it's definitely probably worth it getting down there. But there was only, the day we were down there, I think there was only about 6 people down there, because of the time it takes to get down there, time there and back. But the beach is gorgeous. But the viewpoint from above is where it's at. Then we grabbed a local lunch. That was okay, I guess, at best. It wasn't great. You can understand these islands. So you go to these islands, and I guess traditionally they were not built around tourism. And then as tourism has picked up over the years, they saw an opportunity to cater to people that want to see the beauty of their island. So they've transformed how they make their money and the things that they do. I'm sure other people have gone there to just do that only, but you're with some indigenous folks that are not used to catering to people eating food and things like that. So they're doing the best they can, and it's an evolution of hospitality, but you're not going to get the same form of treatment as you would on an island like Bali. So but it was interesting. The food was decent. And then we hung out at Crystal Bay Beach was the last stop of our day tour. That's where you kind of hang out on the beach line. You can go snorkel. There's some manta rays there. And then you just take in the waves and the sun, and that's where most of the travelers were just hanging out. We met a few people from Wisconsin to connect with them, which was really neat. And then, you kind of just taking the day, and you go back to the harbor and make your way back on this time was a bigger boat. And also during our trip around, also on episode 40 was the chaotic, almost fell off the cliff story. If you want to listen to that, we got in a situation where these roads are extremely skinny on this island because, like I said, it wasn't always built for this. So a lot of times you have two cars trying to pass each other in a street that's only built for one car. And in our occasion, because the drivers sit on the right-hand side and they're in the middle of the road, as you pass and they drive on the left-hand side. So as you pass people, the driver is in the middle of the road and he doesn't see where the ledge is. And I was on the side of the ledge and we were falling off this cliff. So I had to push Nikki out of the van quickly, and it felt like we were going to go tumble over. And if you fall over, it's lights out. But what ended up happening was we had our front left wheel was hanging off the cliff. We had 3 wheels on the road and a 4th wheel was not. So that was pretty crazy and exciting and left us with a lot of anxiety the rest of the day. But we still made the most of it. And the driver knew these guys do this for a living, and it was a close call for him, but this probably wasn't his first close call. And then we that was it. Made our way back to the Bali hotel, and it was an exciting day. But Nikki, any highlights from that day?
I mean, I think Matt covered it all. The only thing I can really say is that the views are phenomenal. It's some of the clearest water I've honestly ever seen. I mean, you can see turquoise water from pretty much every angle. The sunset, we saw sunset views, and it's just like a really weird place. Like, I don't really know how to describe it. I was shocked by how little of infrastructure the island itself had. The roads are not even anything you can really call a road. They're very broken down, but it's definitely worth it if you have time. I'm glad we just did a day trip. I'm not really sure if I'd want to stay on the island per se. I know I've had a lot of friends, since they knew I was in Bali, asked me if I was going to Nusa Penida, that they had stayed there and that it was like one of the most beautiful places they had seen. And so that's why I actually chose to go. I do wish, though, that we could have climbed down to the one beach that was located, and I don't even remember where that was. Do you remember that? Kelly Beach. But when we asked our tour guide, he said in order to climb down the really steep hill, it took 3 hours to do so. So we just didn't do that. But if I would have known that, like in hindsight now, I would have probably chose, just because although the views that we saw and I enjoyed everything we did, I probably would have chose to go there and actually just go to Kelly Beach, climb all the way down, swim around there all day long, and then do the trek back up, because I prefer to do things like that. I mean, even though it would have been a challenge, so maybe that's something to do. Like that to me would have been a better day, and then do lunch and then go back. Because quite frankly, like what we spent, like most of our time was spent in a car driving around, like in a bumpy ride, and it was quite uncomfortable. And we had a very, very nice vehicle. We were in a like some Toyota 4x4, really nice SUV, but it was like really uncomfortable. Like I had to hold on to the handle above my head, and it was like stop and go. And like Matt said, I mean, we nearly fell over the side at one point, but yeah, seeing Broken Bay and Angel's Billabong and going to all the other places in Crystal Beach was nice, but I would have kind of preferred to done without all the travel in between and just gone to that magnificent place and like had a chance to like say, yeah, I did that trek and then trekked back up, because for me, that would have been better.
Yeah. And it almost validates a reason to stay there for more than one day. Because if you see this viewpoint in this beach, it'd be worth staying an extra night just to be able to go over there and trek down that and have that be a part of it. Yeah. So as you can tell, we loved Bali. Being there 4 weeks, we left thinking, God, I wish we could start this thing all over and have 4 more weeks here and really enjoy it. I would be shocked if we don't make it back to Bali. There are so many Indonesian islands that we want to travel to and check out, but Bali, man, it's going to call us back, I'm sure, and we'll have a chance to go visit there again. And it's one of those places you definitely want to add on your list. I think it was of the top tourist places in the world. That list I shared recently, I think it was number 20 on that list of destinations worldwide of travelers. So a lot of people are going there, and depending upon, you try to pick an off-peak season if it's possible for you. But yeah, the rainy season probably is not a lot of fun. And then also, if it's super high peak, the traffic, like I described, can be probably pretty chaotic, or you just need to find a different part of the island. Or just do some research and find different Indonesian islands to find, because that's what, as we talked to the expats that live there, that was their take too, is like, yeah, Bali's awesome, but there are a lot of places on these islands that if you just go search out and discover your own heaven, it's waiting for you out there. So that's probably it. I guess we really enjoyed it, and we'll put a lot of these places that we mentioned in the show notes. So check that out. And if you have anything that we didn't get a chance to see, again, our trip was different because we wanted to hunker down. We only wanted to stay in Seminyak. We didn't do a ton of day trips. We only described 3. There are so many day trips you can do while you're there. It's an endless list because there's beautiful things to see all around the island. We just wanted to chill out, understand Seminyak, understand what the Bali lifestyle was. And that's what we left with, that great feeling, understanding what it was, and we really enjoyed it. So hopefully you will as well. I found a coffee and tea that I absolutely love. Birch Boy's Chaga Coffee and Tea is based out of upstate New York. Now let me attempt to get scientific on you for a minute. Chaga, that's spelled Chaga, is a super mushroom that has one of the highest antioxidant concentrations among any food in the world. It's a superfood. It grows on live birch trees in semi-Arctic climates, which is why the Adirondack Mountains are Chaga's perfect habitat. Rich in antioxidants, vitamins, and nutrients, it is no mystery that Chaga has been dubbed the mushroom of immortality by the health community. I love this coffee and tea so much that I had it shipped to me while traveling, and I carried it in my bag so I can make it on the road as a substitute for times when I am not drinking the local brands that I attempt to try. The young team behind the product is wonderful, and their vision to make Chaga a household name is a powerful one. I found these guys when I was doing some research on startup companies, and they are full of energy and they have a great vision, and they really want to make this coffee a national success, and I believe in them. You can check out their products at passportjoy.com/coffee. Again, /coffee. And I'm confident you'll love this product and you want to try it on your own. They always have deals out there to get it cheaper, and not only coffee and tea, they also have soap and some other products. So check that out, and I'm sure you'll love it.
Moosejaw.com is an online and brick-and-mortar retailer specializing in outdoor recreation apparel and gear for snowboarding, rock climbing, hiking, and camping. They sell name brands such as North Face, Patagonia, Merrell, Prana, Marmot, and many more. It's actually how I purchased my Patagonia Nano Puff jacket for all of the hiking adventures that we've gone on during our travels. They have free 2-day shipping on any of the orders that you purchase that are over $49. And don't forget to sign up for the Moose Jaw Rewards program to earn an additional 10% cash back on every regular non-sale purchase that you can order. It's totally free to sign up, and you can use your reward cash for future purposes. To get more details and discounts on your travel gear, simply go to passportjoy.com/moose. Again, passportjoy.com/moose to purchase your future travel gear. Thanks.
that is it for this episode. Thanks so much again for listening. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. This really helps Nikki and I get in front of new travel listeners that might not be aware of our story. Also, we listed a lot of things in this Bali episode. Please go to the episode tab at passportjoy.com. That is where I list out a lot of the links here, and it makes it easy for you to find some of the things we discussed. And if it's intriguing to you and you're thinking about going to Bali, it'll make it easier for your travels as well. I put a lot of time into that, and the hope is to make it easier for you in the process. You can follow along with our weekly updates with our newsletter. Just sign up at the website, passportjoy.com. That's where you'll get all of our latest tips and tricks and what we're going through and the journey we're taking and everything that we're sharing there. If you have time, when you have time, subscribe to the YouTube page, and that's where you'll get all the highlights from World Barbershop Adventures. It's a lot of fun. It's the visual component of what you're hearing here, where we'll share our trips. The Bali episode should be up soon, and you'll get a chance to check that out, of my time at Bali Barber, getting my hair cut, beard trim, and they even did these crazy ear and nose wax that they'll probably look very painful on video, and it was painful in the chair. So you'll probably enjoy that. All right, we will be back with you next week for a new episode. Until then, safe travels to wherever you might be heading next.